Welcome. Today we're going to talk about addiction not being the problem. It's just a symptom. I know all about this. I've struggled myself so hard that I really get it. Gabor Mate and I are in the same boat. I just am fascinated by learning more and more about the fact that everyone who has an addiction, regardless of what it is, has gone through rejection. Lack of love, lack of nurturing, lack of kindness, lack of being made to feel important, lack of attention, lack of being hugged or held or empowered in any way. That's what causes addiction. Something huge is missing, massive. The way we humans are wired is when the child is born, the mother holds the child, and the mother nurses the child, and the mother bathes the child, adores the child, loves the child, cares for the child in sickness and in health. But that's not what always happens. It certainly didn't happen in my case, and I know it didn't happen in many, many others for the same reason, because that isn't what was going on in the mind of whatever parent was supposed to be caring for you, or could be caring for you, or should have been caring for you. After being raped and impregnated when I was just about 2.5 weeks after turning 15, I began to realize that there were a whole bunch of things going on. Number one, I was raped. I've confirmed that over and over again with experts, that there's no question, even if you know the person, it doesn't mean you told the person, hey, that's okay. But because I knew the person, that was the sense. Both my parents didn't believe me. They sent me to a nunnery. The sister superior, the priest, and the nuns, all who talked to me, believed me. So did the other females. There were lots of young girls there. I was the next to the youngest. There was a 12-year-old who had actually been sexually active for money. I mean, she was a prostitute for years. And she was a whole lot more emotionally settled than I was. I was really quite frustrated, quite out on a limb, quite confused about everything that was going on. But there was no question that the human aspect of being a person kicked in, and I wanted more than anything to hold, to nurture, and to be with my child. But I didn't care what sex it was, but that was the issue with my mother. She was bound, determined to have 6 boys. She had me. It took her 6 years to finally have me. She married at 21, and she was 27 before she had me. She wanted so badly to have another child, and so she did. She carried the child for 10.5 months, gave birth to a boy, and he lived 4 days. She was Rh negative. That was in 1949. I was born in 47, so they had no options. There was nothing they could do. And so she just didn't want me. But sometimes it's because the mother gives the child away. Sometimes it's because the child's adopted. Sometimes it's because the mother's a drug addict. There are so many reasons why someone will come out on the other side, just like Gabor Mate and I did, not having the nurturing they needed. And yet, it's turned out to be such an incredible gift in the long run, because here I am, almost 80 years old. I care for my husband, who's very ill, and I have a purpose, and that's talking to you. Yes, My legacy is making these videos and leaving them on YouTube so that I have a reason to go on after years and years and years of being happily married. I'm really fortunate. My husband has PTSD. I have CPTSD. He was a Vietnam veteran. And because of that, I can be happy about my lousy childhood. I actually had a very good basis for understanding the psychology of people. My father had so many orders to move during the Cold War that I've actually seen 49 of the 50 states in the United States, and I have a memory of all of them because I've seen them at different points in my life. Most of them I saw when I was very young, but a lot of them I went back to later as an adult when I was a pilot. So I got to see them again, and I got to see the people again and hear the dialects and all the different aspects of what was going on in that particular part of the country. And it's so strange because most people don't understand most people from outside the United States don't understand the vast difference in the types of people and the language, the dialects, the way people plan for their lives, whether that's a blue state or a red state. I mean, there's so many things, whether it's cold, whether it has snow, whether it doesn't, whether retired people are there, whatever it is, makes a big difference. I know most of Canada. Been in most of Canada. I've been in most of Mexico, Central America, South America, and Europe. So I have a real sense of why people become addicted. And the more I study Gabor Mate, and I also have been a professor with children with disabilities and lived so long in Latin countries that I've learned about how those cultures function and what goes on when there's a disabled child in their country or an addict. Same thing. I mean, there's so much to understand that you don't get unless you travel. And it's a gift. It wasn't a gift as a child, but it's a gift now. And I look back and I see it. Gabor Mate says his addiction was buying classical music. My addiction was cigarettes. I mean, yes, alcohol too, but there was nothing in my life like cigarettes. I mean, I would do anything. It was so hard. I don't know how many times I quit. I didn't quit. I stopped smoking, but it didn't mean I'd quit. And it was unbelievable what finally worked. I was actually in a room with hundreds of people, and it was a hypnotism having to do with cleaning up a sports rally area, a huge sports rally. And because I had such a background in restaurants, it worked for me, and I actually quit. I couldn't believe it. I finally quit. But it's like Gabor says, it's an addiction. It's part of you, and to stop is very difficult. And that's why I'm working with people who have recognized that some trauma in their life is why they move towards something to ease the pain, which is exactly what an addiction is. It's something to ease the pain. And usually, or more commonly, it's drugs, illegal drugs, or alcohol. Something just to separate yourself from that incredible pain you're feeling. And for me, it was cigarettes. 4 packs a day I was smoking, and God only knows why it didn't kill me. But I really didn't care, and that was another thing. From early in my life, very, very early in my life, I thought of suicide. I was always thinking of suicide, and I tried very hard to take my life. And so now, when I talk to someone who's thinking of suicide, I'm there. I mean, I really understand, and it makes such a big difference in helping somebody when you really understand. So now I work with LifeRing, And I have a school, SKOOL, online, and I'm hoping that people will join me, because I'm willing to work 4 days a week as a volunteer, just to make sure that other people know some of what I know. I feel like I have to get this message out while I can. And that's why I'm here today. And I have down below, I have information and links, and you can comment down below, and if you would like to, you could subscribe or like me, and that would be very nice. But what's really important is that you hear me. You hear that it was not your weakness. It's only a symptom of how you were raised. And it's really, really hard to accept that. But you have to, because otherwise you think there's something wrong with you, and there isn't. Thank you.